Everybody's talking about AI security, right? But what does that actually look like when the rubber meets the road? Well, today we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to walk through a really concrete three-pillar framework for securing your AI systems. And it all starts with something that's absolutely critical, but honestly often overlooked: trustworthy logs. Let's dive in. Let's just start with this foundational truth, because it really sets the stage for everything. Securing AI systems without logs is guesswork. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Without logs, how can you possibly investigate an incident? How do you detect abuse? How can you prove that your safety controls are even working? The simple answer is you can't. You are flying completely blind. So, you might be asking, why is this such a huge deal for AI specifically? Well, this slide nails the core difference. With traditional software, the behavior is deterministic. You can look at the code and you know exactly what it's going to do. But AI is probabilistic. Its behavior isn't entirely predictable, which means the only way to truly understand what it did and why it did it is to analyze the logs of its actions. Those logs, they become your ground truth. All right, so where do we even begin? We start with the first pillar of our framework: monitor. And the goal here is simple, but it is absolute. You have to gain complete visibility. If you can't see what the AI is doing, I'm talking about everything from the prompts it gets to the tools it uses, you have zero hope of actually securing it. So what do we really mean by monitoring in the world of AI? Well, it's this continuous process of gathering and analyzing logs from every single part of the AI system. We're talking about user prompts, the model's responses, the documents it might retrieve in a RAG system, that's retrieval augmented generation, where an AI pulls in outside info, and any tools or actions it takes. This is how we spot everything, from a sophisticated prompt injection attack to a simple misconfiguration. Now, what's great about this is how it demystifies the whole thing. It's a clear four-step plan. First, you centralize. You got to get all your logs into one place, like a SIM, which is a security information and event management platform. You can't analyze what's scattered all over the place. Second, you normalize them. You put them in a standard format so you can actually compare apples to apples. Third, you create detection rules to spot the threats. And finally, you set up automated alerts so your security team can jump on it right away. But who actually does all this stuff? As you can see here, it is a true team sport. The AI platform team, they're the plumbers, they build the pipes. The Security Operations Center, or SOC, they're the watchtowers, monitoring the alerts. Cybersecurity engineering builds the super smart rules to find that needle in the haystack. And of course, the governance team sets the policies on what has to be logged in the first place. Okay, so you're monitoring everything, great. But you've just created a brand new problem. And that brings us to pillar 2, sanitize. Because all that incredible visibility means your logs are now a potential treasure trove of sensitive data. And you have to manage that liability carefully. Log sanitization is all about scrubbing that sensitive data before it gets stored away. I mean, think about it. Raw AI prompts and responses can so easily contain personal information, passwords, API keys, secret company info, you name it. Storing that kind of data in its raw form is a massive security and privacy nightmare just waiting to happen. And here's a perfect and, frankly, a pretty terrifying example. A user is just trying to get some help, but they've gone and pasted their social security number and an active API key right into the prompt. If you log this word for word, you've just created what we call a toxic asset. Your log file is now a high-value target for any attacker. And here is the elegant solution in action. The really crucial point here is that you don't just delete the sensitive information, because that would leave a big hole in your data. No, instead, you replace it with these safe, generic tokens. This process, called inline redaction, is brilliant. It preserves the structure of the log for security analysis while completely removing the risk. You've just turned that toxic asset into a safe, useful piece of evidence. And again, this takes tight collaboration. Your legal and privacy teams, they define what is sensitive based on rules like GDPR. Data governance creates the standards for how to classify and redact it. The platform engineers are the ones who actually build the tools, and the security team gives that critical feedback to make sure the sanitized logs are still useful for an investigation. Okay, so we're monitoring everything and we're sanitizing it carefully. We're safe, right? Not so fast. What if an attacker breaks in and just deletes the logs? All your hard work just gone. That brings us to our third and final pillar: protect. You have to ensure that your evidence itself is secure and trustworthy. Log protection simply means making your logs tamper evidence and controlling exactly who can access them. Look, if an attacker can get in and modify or just erase their tracks from your logs, your entire monitoring strategy completely falls apart. The goal is to make the logs a reliable record that can stand up to scrutiny, whether that's from an internal audit or even a court of law. So how do we actually do this? This slide lays out the technical playbook. It starts with strict role-based access control. Only the people who need to see the logs can. Then you ensure integrity with things like append-only storage, so logs can't be changed after the fact. You encrypt everything, everywhere. And my favorite part, which is so clever, you monitor the monitor. You actually set up alerts for any suspicious activity happening to the logging system itself. And the ownership here, it spans from the architects to the operators. InfoSec designs the secure framework. The cloud and infrastructure teams build it and maintain it. The SOC treats the logging system like the crown jewels, a critical asset to be defended. And finally, internal audit comes in to verify that all these controls are actually working the way they're supposed to.
So let's bring it all home. These are not three separate ideas you can pick and choose from. They are three layers of a single, cohesive defense strategy. Each one depends on and reinforces the others. And the crucial point here is that you absolutely need all three. It's not a buffet. Take away monitoring, you're flying blind. You skip sanitization, your logs just became a toxic liability. And if you fail at protection, your evidence is completely worthless. Each and every pillar is non-negotiable.
If there's just one thing you take away from all this, let it be this analogy. Think of your AI logs as the flight data recorder, the black box for your system. Because its behavior is probabilistic, these logs are the only definitive record of what actually happened. They are absolutely essential for figuring out what went wrong during a security incident.
And so that leaves us with one final critical question for you to think about. Your AI is out there, right now, learning, making decisions, and taking actions every single second. So, is its flight recorder on? And is the data it's recording actually being monitored, sanitized, and protected? Thanks for tuning in.